The Matrix, Truman Show, Dark City, Fight Club. I watched Office Space, which deserves to be in that list of late 90s existentialist must-watch titles. Neo may have been cool, but Peter Gibbons is the hero we needed to see.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
Mike Judge had a huge impact on 1990s pop culture. Beavis and Butthead, which I hated at the time but have since revisited and fallen in love with, became instantly recognisable, even if you never watched it or didn't have access to MTV.
I hate milk. Milk sucks.
King of the Hill also cemented itself as a high-quality, slice-of-life comedy, which probably revealed more about America than traditional live-action US 90s comedies, such as Friends, Frasier, or The Nanny. In fact, I think it's fair to say that the big animated comedies of the 90s, including The Simpsons and South Park, may have seemed over the top, but actually represented working class life in a much more identifiable way than flagship sitcoms, which focus more on whimsical escapism, which was part of the charm of those. Could you be any less representative of American working class life? And just before the 1990s ended and the millennium bug threatened to take down the world's VCR players, Mike Judge's first live action film dropped, and it remains one of the best workplace satires ever created. Plus, it's oddly inspirational. The film features an ensemble cast, each with their own distinct personal grumbles. Samir Naginanajar, nobody can pronounce his name. Michael Bolton hates being in the shadow of someone famous purely because they share the same name.
Wow, is that your real name?
Yeah. Milton Waddams, a vulnerable, obsessive personality who is belittled by seniors and can never settle in the same place.
Just go sit at your desk, okay?
Okay.
And of course, Peter Gibbons, the main protagonist who finds both his job and home life unfulfilling.
Peter Gibbons, I have the memo.
They work at Initech. For Peter, it's a crucible of workplace frustrations and annoyances. The daily grind, the same old routine, traffic jams, the static shock he always gets from the door handle, constant admin, office politics, asphyxiating bureaucracy, more admin, bosses labouring the point when you got it the first time, listening to the same repetitive office noises, and yet more f***ing admin. And then there's the boss, Bill Lumbergh, immortalised in memes. Gary Cole perfectly treads that fine line of inhabiting a living caricature without ever straining it beyond being believable. His "yeah, I'm gonna have to" requests symbolise everything we hate about the smarmy office manager who juggles popularity, office politics, and soulless prioritisation of statistics over people. He's someone who delivers a message knowing they're gonna disregard any response.
Ooh, yeah.
It's enough to make you snap. And that's what happens. When Peter decides to just not care about work or his failing relationship, albeit aided by a hypnotherapy session which ends prematurely, he finds himself in control of his own time, unburdened by work stress and driven purely by what he wants to do, ultimately leads him to find happiness and a new romantic interest. The thing is, Peter doesn't lead a particularly bad life. He's got what most would consider to be a nice office job. He doesn't live in poverty. He's living what many would think to be an idyllic lifestyle. His job is something a lot of people would aspire to, a safe job in a safe environment, coffee on tap. But it's soulless. The soundproof boards around his desk are a cage. His daily routine distances him from what it is to be human. Existing for the good of the company hollows you out over time.
Is this good for the company?
His friend and neighbour has a lower status job, but seems much happier in life. Peter is trapped by the American dream, a sense you should feel grateful for the job you resent, reliant on the salary until it makes you a wage slave. But when Peter ceases to be scared of the alternative, to just not work, he embraces this new paradigm, and doing nothing was one of the best days of his life.
I feel great. It's the best day of my life.
His new outlook is perfectly symbolised when he unscrews the walls of his cage and literally pushes it down to free himself from corporate confines, revealing the bigger view and enjoying his new perspective. That carefree attitude should put him at risk, especially when the two Bobs rock up.
Hi, Bob. Bob?
A pair of consultants brought in to provide cost savings by making people redundant. His cavalier approach gets him promoted rather than fired.
I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working. I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
But as Peter isn't motivated by money by this stage, becoming another addition to the management layer, while his friends who actually do good work are due to be laid off, triggers his sense of injustice. He recognises unfairness. He is offended by the inequality. For him, scamming Initech is a way to rebalance things, to get justice, and in the process, reconnect with his friends on a human level. Seeing the group of friends plot to get revenge on the company who plan on screwing some of them over exposes them as normal people who have been corrupted by the system rather than master criminals. They don't perceive their plan to take money from the company via a discrete computer virus as theft.
Damn, Mom's sick. Well, that was easy. Yeah, I guess it was.
They've abandoned their own principles. His new girlfriend, Joanna, isn't just eye candy or a trophy for Peter. She grounds him and challenges a lot of what he says. She's equally disillusioned with work. She shows that Peter isn't the only one unhappy and provides some sage advice.
Most people don't like their jobs, but you go out there and you find something that makes you happy.
Jennifer Aniston obviously brought some star power to the film, but more importantly, she also plays a strong female who takes charge rather than playing victim. When Peter gets arsy with her over one of her past sexual encounters, she holds her own and makes it clear that she's done nothing wrong. She has nothing to answer for, and he's got no right to offer any judgment.
How dare you judge me?
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were considered for roles when Paramount eventually decided to throw a bit of money at the project to get some big names. But Ron Livingston's audition tape impressed both the casting director and Mike Judge. I can't imagine anyone else in that role, as I associate it so much with Livingston's delivery. The casting feels magic in this film. A solid cast with a background in comedy performances has helped this film achieve cult status, along with quote-worthy scenes and meme-worthy characters. It would be wrong when talking about casting to not mention Stephen Root as Milton. Milton was the title character of the animated shorts, which gave birth to this film. Though relegated to background role, Milton's exploitation is key to feeling no sympathy towards Initech throughout. The Boss 2 is a direct transfer from the animated shorts, and as I've already said, is a superb role which Gary Cole owns. It's interesting how many moments from the animated shorts made it into this film.
I'm gonna have to ask you to go ahead and move your desk again,
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and move your desk again.
Here, let me just go ahead and get that from you.
Go ahead and get that from you.
Ooh, and Mike Judge himself even makes an appearance. That's him right there. When I first saw Office Space as a teenager in 1999, I just started work, and I found it amusing how the same soundproof baffle boards were in this film. Now I'm in my mid-40s and I've personally experienced cost-saving consultations reducing staff numbers twice in the last year alone. I've experienced that sense of being nothing more than a corporate asset, a piece of office equipment like a printer or a stapler. The idea of saying "f*** it" like a middle-aged Ferris Bueller is so tantalizingly exciting, yet feels dangerously reckless. I'm lucky though. There are people who are miserable at work, people for whom employment is like an abusive relationship they feel they can't escape from. A great moment where someone does escape is when Tom is involved in a serious accident and gets a payout. Despite being in pain and having potentially life-changing injuries, he feels like a winner because it's got him out of the rat race.
Good things can happen in this world. I mean, look at me.
Office Space earns its place as a cult classic. Though over a quarter of a century old, it still taps into that modern workplace psyche. It's a film a lot of folk can identify with and feels more relevant now that working terms and conditions have gone backwards for the first time in generations, especially in America where workers' rights are decades behind many other developed countries. Some of the characters are living memes.
Oh, that is terrific.
You could cosplay them at conventions. There are scenes so iconic that they've been parodied and copied.
Hey, fellas. You didn't get the memo?
It even resulted in the real-life creation of a legendary piece of office equipment, the red Swingline stapler. Office Space is much more than a well-written and acted comedy which survives repeat viewing. Like a lot of cult films, it didn't perform well at the box office, but it was discovered in the home video market and built a strong fan following. It's a strangely inspiring story many can relate to, and I think that's why it endears itself. It feels so personal. It resonates. It gets you to question what is essentially a biologically unnatural practice of working for such a big chunk of life for a company that doesn't care about you, especially if it compromises your happiness. Mike Judge did it again. He created a comic scenario which makes us laugh. He contributed once again to pop culture with something we can identify with. Ron Livingston himself, when talking about the popularity of this film, manages to summarise the core inspirational message. It's to prioritise happiness over status. Give yourself permission to quit the thing that makes you miserable. That's a pretty solid piece of life philosophy. I like it, and I love this film. And goodbye.